morning, and thank you for joining us for Grow Your Commercial Book with CID Insurance Services. My name is Anae Agostini. I'm CEO of CID Insurance Programs, and would look forward to spending a little time with you guys on who we are as a wholesaler and how we can be of help to you. So let's get started. So we've got the regular logistics. I'm sure you guys have been in enough webinars to know that in our case, we have a lot of people that attend, and so we can't have everybody talking at once. So we're going to mute. You'll be muted, but you'll be able to hear. But you won't be able to talk, and that's the part. We still want your questions. So they're really important to us. So you could pose questions in the chat room off to your right, and pose them at any time throughout the webinar, and I'll make sure that I answer them as we go. So and then at the end, we've got a survey. We want to find out how we're doing with you. So we really appreciate your feedback. So what do we want to talk about today? Webinar objectives. Who CID, right? What's our product appetite? Why you shouldn't only focus on new business growth, which unfortunately I think many of you end up focusing on service more than new business, service in general. So I'll talk a little bit about that, the downsides of that, and then how to retain your commercial renewals. We've got some great tools on our website that I'm going to go over as well. So we're CID Insurance Programs is we're a small wholesaler based out of San Diego. We write in 14 states, and we focus on being delivering products for independent and captive insurance brokers. So our product range in general, ranges from preferred risk to manageable, hard to place. So we're not a super hard to place, but we can write a lot of manageable, hard to place risks. And frankly, I used to do what you guys do, which is, I was a retailer many years ago, and hard to place is not really, those are risks that are usually coming at you that have called 6 brokers and already, and they're hard to place. Chances are you're probably not going to place them. So the idea is to really be proactive about the kind of business that you want to put on the books, that you can keep on the books and actually write to begin with. Okay, let's keep going. So you guys have a lot of options when it comes to wholesalers, and there's a lot of competition out there. We elected to go into this business 20 years ago because we did not like the choices and how we were being treated by wholesalers out there. So I clearly knew what I wanted to accomplish, and I wanted to make a better environment for brokers like yourself to do business with us. And one of the things that I saw was there was a great need for fast and easy quote options. And then obviously you need to deliver competitive premiums. But that is the key, because I used to be very frustrated with, submissions that would get in a stack, and there was really no great connection. It took a couple weeks to get even a quote back, and you never knew whether it was the best quote that they had, because there was very little communication with the underwriter. So fast and easy quotes is a reason to choose CID. Our underwriters are knowledgeable, experienced, and very responsive. That is, as a small wholesaler, that is key to us. And I know it's super important to you guys. So our average underwriter has been with the company, I would say an average of 9 to 10 years. So they know their products. They're very knowledgeable about it. And we pick up our phones and we answer our email in a timely manner, usually same day. Usually there's no exception except for maybe a call coming in at the very end of the day. The other thing is we've got lots of tools on our website, customizable marketing material, like class of business and by coverage is available. So those are things that you could make that your own and find that on our website and use it to either cross-sell or market. We have a respectable commission structure. Usually it's going to end up paying somewhere between 10 to 15%, depending on the carrier. So also, like you are on a webinar today, we've got lots of educational opportunities that are available. You can go watch any of our recorded webinars on our website. That a lot of them are put on by carrier underwriters or executives that have an intense, a great amount of knowledge about claims, and so it's a really good opportunity to learn. And that's when you're writing commercial is a big bag of different classes of business, and it's hard to be an expert. It takes time. So those videos can help with learning specific coverages and different classes of business and the insurance that they need. Also, another reason is that we spend a lot of time. We have separate underwriters for new business versus renewals, and so thus we pay equal attention to new business production and our renewals, and we treat them very much the same. So our job, it really is to reach out to you and be a good communicator, because ideally you need to retain your renewals and you need to have new business production, and that's what's going to generate what we call PIF growth, and that is policy in force growth. Because if you don't keep your renewals and you're not gaining new business, then your PIF is going to shrink, and your agency is going to struggle. So that's why you choose CID. I will move on, and let's talk about some of the products. So Dan Mulligan has been with us, I think, 15 years, and he's really good. He oversees our professional liability department, and so his background, he knows professional very well. He is very responsive. He's very good at being able to determine what type of risk you have, even if you don't know, and a lot of things he can quote over the phone with a limited amount of information, with an application to follow later, but he can get the quotes out there for you. And he can help you determine what you have, and he's very good at selling a risk to the carrier when it's slightly outside the box. So you can see there's a whole big bucket of miscellaneous E&O, and that bucket is huge. We've only touched on just a tiny few here. Real estate services, we do a lot, and so that's a wide, big bucket as well. And then all types of architects and engineers. We've got some very competitive markets on that. And then social services is really a growing area, which many of you are probably coming across, along with miscellaneous medical is growing as well. So the social services really becomes, we do both nonprofit. Dan handles the for-profit, and Michelle Belden, which I'll show you in a minute, handles the nonprofit side of social services. But Dan handles all the miscellaneous medical, and all of these, everything here, it may have general liability included. However, these are products that are driving off of professional liability exposures. And then you've got your coverages, such as your employment practices, your cyber liability, and your corporate directors and officers. Those, it's becoming very mandatory that those coverages are being be proposed by you, because those are the places that we're starting, especially on cyber and EPL. We are really seeing the losses happening there, and you don't want to be caught without proposing. So that's one thing Dan can do. He can throw, and we're working with our brokers at renewal to actually propose other coverages at the time that the renewal is being proposed as well. So, and again, let me know if you have questions as you're going along, anything about the products. But this is great. So Teresa Cochran has been with us at least 10 years. She's wonderful at what she does. She does a lot of miscellaneous type commercial, and then she's a garage specialist as well. You'll see over on the left-hand side that that's just a short list of all the types of automotive type risks that she can write. And she can write preferred to hard to place, new ventures, and everyone can write new ventures. No problem. So that just remember that going forward. She does a lot of manufacturing, and she has a lot of markets for contractors, and then of course anything to do with builder's risk, vacant buildings, vacant land. She's an expert in that area and can point you in the right direction, because that whole arena can get a little confusing sometimes. And so it's nice to have someone help you realize what you have and what kind of policy that they need. Distributors and wholesalers. She also does. That's a great market she has. She can write cannabis exposures. So contact her if you've got something that you want her to take a look at. Another area is that retail merchants. I know there's a lot of competition out there for there can be for supermarkets. Discount stores, clothing stores, some of that, not all of it that the preferred markets like. But what we find is that we've got some carriers that are just they're admitted, they love liquor stores, they love convenience stores, they love the gas stations. So look to Teresa for those types of risks, and we have very competitive premiums on it. So it's great. And then last would be restaurants. She can go a wide variety of directions, in kind of fast food to fine dining, and then you can see even hookah lounges that we've got markets for. And then if you've got bars and taverns that are like mainly high liquor revenues, that's we've got markets for that as well. And certainly can write standalone liquor if needed and competitively. So then we've got Michelle. Michelle's been with us probably 5 years. She's very good. She does all of our HAB, and then she does our nonprofit as well. So you can see what I mean by HAB is your community associations, your apartments. We can write old buildings, mixed-use buildings, and newly purchased. So risk with, and then we have some markets that will do risk with prior losses, which is really starting to be a problem again. With water damage claims for residential buildings, and then we're really good with commercial buildings. And one of the areas that a lot of carriers don't like is the industrial buildings, and so they your mainstream carriers will shy away from the industrial buildings. So we've found we have markets that will handle that. And again, older buildings are great. You've got to be able to show upgrades. Some of the carriers are really backing away from older buildings, but we still have markets that within reason, being able to show reasonable information on an application of upgrades, dates, that kind of thing, for the main upgrades needed, then we have markets that can write that for you. So again, partially vacant and We have the occupancy type can be difficult with LROs, right? You get an unusual occupancy, and carriers will back away from it, and we can write those as well. Hotel, motel, that there's been since farmers pulled out of that arena, it just hasn't been the same. It's a really there's been a lot of claims, and that's why farmers pulled out. And we have markets for that, but it's become one of the more challenging because no one is writing it as inexpensively as they used to because of the claims that are occurring. But hotel, motel, we've got the markets for you. Nonprofit, we can do a wide variety of all the types of nonprofits that are out there. We can write the full gamut from, a package, a BOP with a very comprehensive D&O, with maybe an inland marine if needed, plus special events, all included on one policy. So that, and we've got a number of markets we can do that with. So send those over to Michelle. Concessionaires and vendors, that's an easy one. We've got some phone quote options for some of these smaller policies that we all hate trying to get an application completed for. So we've got options where you can quote. Concessionaires and vendors is a good one to do that with because they're inexpensive policies and we don't require an app. You just need a small amount of information, and you can find that the phone quote option on our website. Same thing with special events. No one wants to do an app. We just want that to be easy. You can go on our website and quote, or you can do a quick phone quote with an underwriter and get your quote sent to you right away. That's special events are small premiums, and you usually one-day events, and so that's what you're really looking is to make that fast and easy. We have surety and fidelity products if needed, and that Michelle handles as well. And then she can do all types of schools, fitness centers, and we do write tattoo and piercing businesses as well. Okay. So last but not least is Cesar Serrano. He heads up our new business for work comp. Lexi Goldspring is our renewal underwriter, and Cesar, we're very broad appetite for workers comp, and we write a lot of it. Cesar's very fast and efficient. He's very knowledgeable. He again has been with us at least probably 12 years. So he's always been in the work comp department. So he's super knowledgeable. He can hold your hand if needed, but he can really help you classify, confirm that, a business is classified properly for their employees' exposures or work duties. So at just about everything else we write, he can write as well. This is just a small drop in the bucket of what he can write. It's very extensive, and I know that a lot of times we can do artisan contractors, so that look to him for a variety of things. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is, I mentioned it earlier on. You need to always be aware of what coverages your commercial clients need. The days of being able to just write a BOP for, your client and walk away and not do anything more are really gone. There's too much, it's too litigious of an environment, and there's too many other growing exposures that we have to pay attention to. And your E&O is at risk when you're not offering all the coverages that they need. And also, cross sales are the easiest sale that you can make with an insured. So, that's a really warm sale if you've already got a policy in place with them. So it just takes time and a little bit of organization to address your renewals in the right way and cross sell as you you work your renewals. And maybe not even wait till the renewal where you're reviewing your book to see where you may be exposed and you may be wanting to promote. And that's, again, we've got those marketing pieces that you can put you can customize for yourself. And you can email those to your client, letting them know some of the coverages that you feel that they need to receive a quote on. So again, property, general liability, a lot of times you have that covered, but have you addressed the fidelity and computer fraud coverage? And now there is a coverage called deception fraud, which is that whole thing of where, hackers are intercepting, email correspondence relative to either ACH or wire transfers, and then, the wire transfer is actually sent to the hacker as opposed to the person who was to receive it. This is a huge growing area of exposure that you need to pay attention to, and I strongly recommend a standalone fidelity policy for anyone who has a funds exposure, and especially if they're handling the funds of someone else. So that is going to be important to pay attention to. Cyber liability, is that the breach of private information, and you've got ransomware, cyber extortion. That's really the main coverages you're going to find on the cyber liability policy. And then, of course, if they're providing professional services, and it's really important to know that these days that it's not just a consultant, it's anyone who's offering professional services. That's more of an administrative type, exposure, or an advice kind of exposure. They're going to need professional liability. And then garage is in itself its own type of coverage, because it's unique to it's unique to that class of business. You've got directors and officers. You've got employment practices. Don't forget the workers' comp, because whoever's got that comp is going to be trying to steal your business. So you always want to be going after the policies that you don't have. Of course, you must always include that hired and non-owned auto on the general liability, and write an inland marine if they're transporting equipment away from the premise. And you can't rely on $1 million of general liability coverage anymore. So looking, propose umbrellas. We can easily quote those for you, and for an extra $1 million. But it's important to put that on the table. Okay, so I talked about the renewal process. So if you're a farmer's agent, it's a harder option for you because you are so brainwashed by farmers, because everything is in that little monitor that you're working on, the computer that you're working on, and they make it everything is there. So when you have an outside book, you have to create your own systems. And sometimes, as an independent broker, not everybody's really good at developing systems, but I have found that one of the most successful things you can do, the success of a business, is tied to having good systems in place so that everything runs smoothly and there's an order, a consistent order to things. One of those things is managing your renewals by an expiration report monthly. In our office, we run them. And an underwriter can be working 4 months at one time, because you're starting to look forward and you're constantly looking backwards to make sure that you've renewed everything. So that you could easily have 4 months working. So we and I'll just make sure I cover that. I think I do on the next page. We work 60 days out typically, but we start looking at them 90 days out. So we make sure that we're on top of everything, and being able to provide the best renewal terms possible. And we also go out and look at other carriers so that there are that you can report back to your insured that we've looked at other carriers and we here's what we recommend. I already mentioned this, but I'll spend a little bit more time on it. You want to treat every renewal like new business. So you send a written proposal, you confirm the renewal bind order, you pay. It's once a year. Commercial doesn't have a lot of service tied to it, so you may not even talk to that insured throughout the year. But it's really important that you touch base with them and you review their insurance to make sure they're adequately covered, take the opportunity to propose other coverages needed or policies needed, and then you put a formal proposal out there and ask for the bind order to renew that policy. Really important. And then monitor your renewal retention and lapse ratios. So a lapse ratio is so retention is the first 12 months of the policy. Lapse ratio is 13 months thereafter. So it's not to get too complicated. We can refer to it as, so if you're having retention problems in the first year that you've got the policy that doesn't make it to a renewal, that's the worst situation you can have, because it means that you may not have written good business to begin with, and that's sort of a vicious cycle that you don't want to be in. So you really want to pay attention to that. You want to be monitoring what you've got there. And then lapse would be, it made it to the next year, but then it didn't renew thereafter. And you want to keep that. You're looking to retain 85 to 90%, of your renewals. Those are the goals that we set for ourselves. So we want to be in sync and in unison with you. And then, as I mentioned, cross-sell the other coverages at renewal. This is a great time. If they're happy with you, ask for referrals while you're working the renewals. That's a great opportunity. We get a lot of referrals, and we don't even ask for them, because people enjoy doing business with us. They get what they need from us, and they ultimately will send another broker our way. And as I said before, it's really important to focus 50-50 on renewal retention and new business production so you have a profitable long-term success equation for your agency. So a little bit more about retaining your commercial renewals. So, and I got to move this because I can't see everything that's here. There we go. Retention of your commercial clients, it's going to depend on the PIF count per insured. I mentioned that earlier. PIF being policy in force count. You've got to retain, right, your commercial clients, and at the same time be getting new, so you're growing your PIF count. If you are losing a lot of your renewals, everything could be leaking out the back end. Even if you're getting new business, then you're sort of treading water, and you're never going to grow as an agency, which creates a lot of stress for us as agency owners. So that having a system in place to ensure that you grow your PIF count is important. Also, that cross-sell situation, if you want to have an average, if you have an average of less than 2 policies, your renewal retention is going to be more likely to be in trouble, because the more policies you have per insured, the greater chance you have of retaining them. That's just a known fact, very well documented in personal lines, but it works in commercial just as well. The more PIF per insured, the easier it is to retain the business. Again, know what coverages your clients need. That's super important. You need to be asking questions about the type. What do they do in their business? And that's going to tell you. You need to be asking questions, about their if they're a C corporation, their board of directors, and what kinds of exposures they have there. I mean, it's all across the board that you have to hit all of those coverages that we pointed out. And again, you can go back and listen to this again if you'd like to on our website. So if you want, and please email us if you want a list of the types of coverages that you would, just as a cheat sheet. Jacob, our marketing specialist, can send that out to you. And then I mentioned again, following up 60 days prior to the renewal date, we're going to be reaching out to you 60 days prior to get started with if we need an application, or if we're looking to see if there's any changes in exposure, that kind of thing. We're going to be reaching you. So we want you to be prepared to be working on your renewal 60-day prior. And so we're in sync with each other. You can anticipate a quote from us, the renewal quote, at 30 days, unless there's something holding it up. And we strongly recommend that you provide formal insurance proposals. We do not want you to use what we send you, because that is not a professional proposal. It's our proposal to you. However, we want to make this as easy as possible for you, because we have templates that will make this really easy for you to make your own proposals. So on our website, we've got tools, and you can see on the left-hand side here, this is a sample of a work comp proposal, and we have a package proposal, we have a BOP proposal, we've got E&O, we've got employment practices, we have cyber liability on there. And if you don't see what you need, we're still adding proposal templates to make it easy. You take these, they're Word documents, and the red area is designed to be the area that's just fillable. So you always keep your template clean, and then you save each proposal that you do, so you'll have it next year saved, and can reuse it as necessary. But this is, you could put your logo on it and just use these to your heart's content. I recognized many years ago when I was a retailer that it was difficult. We had to create our own. Sorry. Darn it! I need to go back. Let me go back. Sorry, I'm screwing up here. We realized that we needed to be able to. We had to create all these proposals, so I'm trying to make it easy for you. Also, there's all kinds of, I talked about the marketing flyers. We've got the recorded webinars. And then we have other types of sample invoice templates. And by the way, all of our proposals templates that we have has an invoice attached, because you should always be trying to close the deal with your insured. Give them something to pay with as part of the proposal. And then we have broker of record templates, just to make things easy for you. We have broker fee agreements that are well designed. Some of those are for professional liability, where it talks about the retroactive date, and it confirms that in writing, and the insured signs off on that. So check out our templates section of our website. It's under resources that you're going to find all these great things. So I want to thank you for joining us. And if anybody has, I wanted to just make sure there weren't any other questions. And but please go to our website, or and you'll find our, you can contact us from there, and you can send over any questions if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, I will wish you a great day and a great rest of the week, and we look forward to doing the business with you in the very near future. Let us know how we can help you. Oops, we do have one. Does the website have fillable accord forms? We have fillable applications on our website. If you need accord forms, please please contact us and we will send those forms. We do have them, but they're not on our website. So we can get those to you. So just send us an email. I think you can send it to info, but we'll get them. We can get a fillable cord form sent out to you. Anybody else have a question? All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.